I might retake my photo with the hat for the cover art.
What's that?
I'm glad you didn't hear that.
About the cover
I suggested perhaps retaking my photo with the hat.
No.
Why would you not like that?
I wouldn't, no.
Maybe I'll just do it.
Can do if you want. I'll just delete it and make it have no one's face in it.
Well, the thing is, I merged it all in the end. I could just send you with no other option.
I'll just use the old cover art removers.
I hate you. You can never let me have my hat.
That's sick. Hello and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name is Connor Chadwick.
I'm Daniel. I forgot my name. I am Daniel Patton.
And in today's podcast, we will be talking to Peter Adams about the Young Doctor Adventures, Volume 3.
And I'll be talking with DDK about their fan films and their future as filmmakers. So, Connor, Happy New Year! Well, it will be New Year once this comes out.
Yes, very much. Happy New Year to you.
2020 is gone. Thank God.
When this comes out, it will have, yeah. Which is a weird feeling.
Just put our mindsets to then, sir. Let's just put our mindsets to then.
Yes.
Just picture it. 2021.
Yeah, they announced today that there's a new vaccine that doesn't require to be stored in really cold temperatures, and it actually makes you immune to COVID. Which would be helpful. A great development. The problem is, if you don't do it quick enough, the virus adapts.
Yeah, I think that's why we're having now more lockdowns to prevent
that's why Tier 4
came more in. Mutations.
Yeah, Tier 4 came in. I think it's the mutant viruses are coming in because we're now starting to not just the vaccine, but because we are staying in and being more vigilant. The asymptomatic one was spreading quicker than the one that would give you serious symptoms, but now including lockdown procedures, we are now that's why it became 75%, or was it 70 or 75% more transmissible, and that's why we had to go to Tier 4 restrictions just before Christmas.
Yeah, or right on Christmas.
Yeah, pretty much within the week of Christmas.
Yeah, well, that's what's different here in Northern Ireland. We literally went into lockdown yesterday on Boxing Day, and now everything's shut down now. Everything, including leisure shops, cinemas, and everything that's non-essential is shut down here.
Yeah, well, that's the case here. I can't even go into a shop now. I have to get it delivered now because in my area, if you go into there, you're breaking the bubble. The shops have created bubbles with delivery drivers and the staff. So, you have to order through Uber Eats or Deliveroo, or if you're going to get something from Tesco's, the online shopping. You have to keep within those brackets. Now, you can't just walk in anymore. But then as a result, there's a delivery fee and everything's just a bit more expensive. The offers aren't on when you order online.
Yeah.
So it's a case of keeping transmission to a minimal, but then also obviously still trying to make money to keep those businesses going.
That is true. But hopefully with these tiers, we're now at the home stretch towards some sort of normality.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time on this podcast that we properly spoke about COVID like this? It's been a few, hasn't it?
I think we've talked about COVID at least once every podcast, mate.
But not in this depth.
At least once. I know. I think it's because now we're because so much has progressed.
Oh yeah. I'm not complaining. I was just curious because we'd obviously spoken about lockdown in March and April last year when it was all happening, but now we're at a stage where there's more differences. I know that when we've talked to other guests on the podcast, we've been like, "How have you been?" Oh yeah, well, because of lockdown, blah blah. And as I know from talking to Pete in his segment, and obviously listening to you and DDK talking, that COVID is mentioned. You know, COVID can't not be mentioned nowadays when it comes to talking to not just other fan film creators, but also stuff we're making with other people. We constantly, you know, we're asking how people are, how they're doing, and COVID always comes into conversation. One day we'll just ask, how have you been? And you go, or you or I will be like, we've been busy doing stuff that we were allowed to do before COVID, but let's not dwell on COVID.
I'm very much looking forward to a day that that COVID is not it doesn't come into conversation.
Oh, I think it will be in conversation for a long time, until we all get vaccinated and it's gone. But even then, will it ever be gone? Because they'll just adapt for the immunity eventually. Not to get too morbid.
I think the last time we probably talked about was in October when like the second lockdown was going around.
Oh yeah, probably. More than likely.
But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, new year, new Overton Audios life. We'd already made some announcements in last month's podcast about things that were coming up. Obviously, we've announced the Sherlock Holmes audios, and at the time, I'm not sure. Had we found any writers at the time? Because we found quite a few since.
When we made the initial announcement, we didn't have any writers, I believe.
No.
I think that's whenever we made the call.
Yeah.
I think the initial announcement was also to announce that was happening, and also to announce that we're requesting writers for the series.
Yeah, the biggest problem we had was when we were looking at writers. The reason why we were asking for writers was because you and I have been, well, it came to our minds middle of last year. Well, no, actually, middle of 2019.
Yeah, it's because I was writing my dissertation about adaptations of Sherlock Holmes. I'm like, wouldn't mind doing one of those myself.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's public domain. It's not copyrighted. I mean, would Holmes or Watson with Will Ferrell and Riley C. Kelly, or something like, or John C. Riley, would that have happened?
Unfortunately, that film shows that unfortunately anyone can make a Sherlock Holmes adaptation, but I think that film also shows some people should not be making Sherlock Holmes adaptations.
Well, hopefully ours is all right. We've got a couple of writers. The problem why we were originally going to start doing it, but then obviously fractured timeline. You've still been working on. Obviously, there was a pause anyway this last year. I've got to get used to saying last year now rather than this year. There was a lot of pauses and, you know, things happening, and then obviously we focused on Uncharted Past, but then loads of things have been happening in your life anyway, including my own, that we never got round to it. And then by the end of it, we thought, well, you know, after I mentioned in the podcast, the first one we ever did, that I'm always happy to get people involved in whatever way possible, we thought, well, why not bring Sherlock Holmes into like more of a fan-driven series for everyone?
Yeah.
And so far we've got about, off the top of my head, about 5 writers at the moment fully working on it, and that have drafts ready, and we'll be looking at it later in January.
Yeah, because originally, I think me and you originally planning to make it a one-off, either
It wasn't
special
it
or
was
one-off
going
volume.
to be it was going to be a volume of 3 originally, all released in one day, and then it became a one-off because we were struggling to sort this out, and because obviously we talked about it in 2019, you know, we were still making stuff for 2020, and it on the 2020 schedule, as is the 2021 schedule, filled. So we thought, well, it'll have to be pushed anyway, and we'll just work on it for now, and it was just ideas. But now we've got fully fleshed ideas, and I've been listening to the Big Finish Sherlock Holmes stories, and they've been really insightful, but I still wasn't quite there in terms of what we needed to do, and it's one of the last things now that needs to be written for the 2021 schedule. Which is kind of weird for me because I've always had 1 or 2 projects that have bled over to the next year. Only 1 or 2, but now I have this year it's 4 or 5. Like I'm writing some Time Traveller. We've got to write some of the Crimson Hunter. And then obviously this Sherlock series as well. Whereas before, the only thing that was left over from the 2020 schedule that bled into 2020 itself was actually the Federation War.
Yeah.
And everything else was finished.
Yeah, and I think as well when we made the initial call out, we weren't expecting such a big response.
We thought that there was going to be like a niche sort of audience there. Sure, we thought, yeah, there'll be people who are interested in like literature, who will probably want to do something like this. But we understand that most of our audience are Doctor Who fans, so we thought, we were kind of expecting to get some responses back saying no, we prefer Doctor Who, and stuff like that. But quite taken aback by how many people were interested. Because originally it was only going to be that one-off. Now it's turned into a volume in itself of writers, of new writers.
Yeah. Because originally it was going to be a one-off special for 2021. There was going to be a one-off Sherlock Holmes adventure. And I was going to be classifying it as some sort of pilots that if there's interest, we then do a volume.
We were going to do a volume, and then it turned into... then we cut back, and we thought, well, okay, because we're trying to, as I mentioned in one of my other podcasts with you, that I wanted to cut back on the amount I was working on because it was just tiring me out. We then cut back a bit and went, okay, we'll only make the one just to test it out. And then things got shifted around anyway, so it only made room for one, which is why now that it's a volume, it will be a big one-day release. Whereas before, everything else in that year schedule will be weekly. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to when that comes about. When scripts are written, we've gone through and just quickly had a read through and tweaked any bits that we may want to, etc.
Yeah, because this is a bit of a different Sherlock Holmes than anything else that's sort of been. We have our own sort of we have our own twist to the story that will come, which we'll know whenever we announce it.
I will say though that the twist isn't that the roles are reversed or anything like that. It's nothing like that. They are still who they are. Setting. Yeah,
it's more the setting and also our adaptations of what the characters are mainly.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be Holmes and Watson at 221B. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that we can discuss, because the trailer would have come out by now, is Doctor Who Uncharted Past Volume 3.
Oh,
the trailer for that came out.
Play it now, Dan. Play it now.
But it's bigger on the inside.
You can take this.
Why me?
She's your girlfriend, a Santaran.
Looks like he knows more than you expected. This man knows of my species.
Who are you? My name is Oscar.
Tell me your name.
Lost her.
Lost who? I was here with my son, who has gone missing.
Then he's dead too.
I am Pride, War Chief of the Shalka Confederacy. Where are they?
Why are you here, Ice Warriors? Why are you looking for the Shalka?
I'm sick of the constant secrets.
I chose what was best for you. A bounty hunter called Devlin has been hired to kill me.
Doctor, come on. Stop playing around. Wake up, please.
Ooh, thrilling stuff. Because we've been holding out revealing who's going to be in Volume 3, because we got a few returning villains now, because I think even you were saying that we need some older villains with the Irish Doctor for these volumes.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have done a lot of new villains, which I think is great anyway. But when there was a friend of mine who was messaging saying, "Oh, I'd love to see some more established villains," and I sort of teased them with villains who were made not canon are in this, and obviously I'm referring to the Shalka.
Yeah,
that is one I'm very interested in. I mean, yes, I wrote it, but I'm interested to see what people's take is on it, because we are adapting the original story. Like, we are establishing Scream of the Shalka for it.
as as a form of canon. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have little nods in there to say that in the DW 2012 universe that the Doctor has encountered Schalke before. Like, he knows what they are. It isn't new to him. He knows what they are. Yeah. So we wanted to leave it open in that respect. You know, that he may have met them before. Well, he has met them before. That way, you know, if we come up with stories later down the line and say, oh, wouldn't it be great? Like, you know, them talking about ages away from now, that, you know, let's say Luke or Dom decide that they want to do a live action story with the Schalke, it doesn't hurt canon.
God bless them.
Yeah.
If they decide that. But yeah, it's good to, because the Schalke are, which is sort of, I'm glad we also mixed them in with a very established monster, which is the Ice Warriors. So we have relatively niche known monster.
Well, that idea was actually pitched to me by Oliver Silcock, who produces Doctor Resurrection with me. The late Doctor Resurrection, because it's all over now. But he came up with that idea originally. He pitched that idea originally to be written for something he and I were going to do together. But that fell through, and I really wanted to do a Schalke story. So I just went ahead and wrote it, and that's why that's what it's come from.
Because originally the story was going to be the Ice Warriors on their own.
Yes, it was originally going to be a story called Lost in the Snow, and it was going to be the Doctor and companion or companions. They arrive in New York in the 2030s to find the whole of New York City frozen over. Have you ever seen The Day After Tomorrow, that 2004 film with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
Imagine New York looking like that, where floods come through and it's all them frozen over. It was going to be something like that, and the Doctor would go looking deep and find out it was Ice Warriors, and then something about it with us just wasn't quite sticking, was it? We were like, we love the idea of having Ice Warriors in it, but there was just something about the concept that we just were trying to figure out at the time, but we just couldn't get our heads around. And then that's when I suddenly remembered the whole story that Ollie had put forward about fire and ice.
Yeah.
And then his idea was, well, what about the Schalke? And then we went from there.
Yeah, exactly. And which is pretty cool, because that's the thing you don't really get necessarily from the trailers, that it is, because they're lava creatures, the Schalke, and the Ice Warriors are obviously the Ice Warriors, so it is fire, it is lava and ice, fire and ice, cold versus hot.
Well, yeah, precisely. But I'm really looking forward to that one. The other one I'm looking forward to is Our Lord Protector, written by John N. Harper. That's part of a trilogy. In fact, the episode that's actually released, this podcast should be uploaded just before the first episode of Doctor Who Young Doctor Adventures, episode 1 of Volume 3 comes out. City of Heroes, it's called. That is technically a prequel to the Volume 2, as in the Uncharted Past Volume 2 story, The Operators.
Yeah, so that way it works as a... it's a trilogy that spans multiple ranges.
Yes, it's what I would call a soft trilogy, because you can listen to The Operators, and then you can listen to City of Heroes, and then you can listen to Our Lord Protector, which is Volume 3, Episode 2 of Uncharted Past, Volume 3, and they all work together. But even if you didn't listen to City of Heroes, it still works as a sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also one of my favourite cover arts that you've done.
Yeah.
And I was so happy with the cast, because the cast I've worked with, like the cast that were in it, I've only worked with when we've made Waterside. So it was great to have that really good crossover. And it's also the people who are in that I rarely get to work with as well. Like when we've had, Kate as the Rani, I've known her for 6 years now. And Adele as Professor Chaddy, I've been working with her for 3 years. And whilst, yes, these actresses who are in Our Lord Protector I've worked with for 3 years, I also hadn't really seen them in 2 years prior to that anyway.
Yeah, so it's nice to work with people, especially after so long. Yeah, I've worked with Kirsty. I haven't worked with her since season
3?
2? of Wonder Side?
No, it would have been
No,
3.
but I haven't. But do we meet during season 3 filming?
You met during season 2 filming. The last time you saw her was the end of 2017 when we wrapped series 3, and that was when you were when we were freezing cold that day, and everyone was there for the filming. It was November 2017, I think. So it's been 3 years now. And she'd come down from Leeds for the filming, and you were all wrapped up together in some sort of weird, like, above ground fluffy coat bunker.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was.
That was the last time.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. The last time I saw it was summer 2019 for the filming of the last season of Waterside.
It's our partner as well.
Yeah, that was funny because we were going to cast two. Obviously, we have cast 2 separate people, but we cast Kirsty first, and then she mentioned, "Hey, my girlfriend Tamsin is an actress as well. Can we do it together?" And then she gave us really generously, and I think, to be honest, when it came down to editing, I used a lot of these. They would do the scenes separately and were doing their lines separately, and then they would do their lines together, and when they'd interrupt one another, the interruption would be genuine. It wouldn't be having to be us lining up the interruption in the edit. They'd actually do it genuinely. So a lot of the scenes are just, when it's just them talking, it's just the one big track of them doing the whole scene.
Yeah, I do love when stuff like that happens. Like when me and Anya recorded for The Night of Dracula. It's just, you get those genuine reactions. You get those genuine one-offs between the actors. And yeah, so performance-wise, it's one of my favourite episodes as well.
Yeah.
I think as well, Volume 3, we got the perfect mix of returning established villains. And we also got returning original villains, and we also got one new villain, which is Devlin.
Oh,
and
goodness.
without giving anything,
I'm looking forward to the day. Looking forward to the day we can talk about Devlin properly.
Devlin is my favorite creation. I'll say that. I can't say anything, or I'll give too much away about his character, but
we'll have to make sure we get a segment on Devlin for the podcast.
Yeah,
it's just like you and
Luke Lane.
Yeah, you. I don't know. Maybe you and Luke Lane talking about Devlin.
Yeah, the characterization of him, because he is a character. He's not just a villain. He is a character.
Yeah, and Luke embodies that amazingly,
perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame we couldn't put anything in the trailer, but just it's best to leave that.
Yeah, and there's so much. To put it this way, there's so much ad-libbing, you'd never be able to tie down one line. There's no brief line when it comes to Devlin. Devlin just loves to talk.
Yeah, and I want to talk about more about Devlin, but I can't without spoiling it.
No, exactly. So
when,
we'll leave
at the
it
end
there.
of Uncharted Pass. Yeah, at the end of Uncharted Pass Volume 3, we'll talk more about Devlin. But
yeah,
can't wait for that conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, anyway, shall we go on to talking about volumes, especially third volumes? Shall we go on to my conversation with Peter Adams about the final third volume of the Young Doctor Adventures?
Yes, we shall.
Overton Audios presents
Daleks.
Like that Time Lord said.
Something we've both been avoiding for a long time. The Time Lords tried to warn me before it got out of hand. I've ignored their warning for too long, and now my hand's being forced.
Oh, and I suppose you've had all the life experiences in a year. A year? That is nothing.
I've done things you couldn't believe.
Try me.
Your move, Doctor.
You must be exterminated!
Excuse me?
Exterminate!
You brought me home. Something's wrong here. This doesn't feel like home.
It appears the Doctor has discovered our operation. You know what to do.
The Daleks mentioned something about affecting the population.
The human population, yeah!
Hazel, that's genocide.
You destroyed an entire dimension!
I know, but what else could I do?
Also, consider where you come from. You can still be the Doctor.
We are in a crisis and must flee.
Oh, no, you don't. Not to the past.
No! Don't you
Yeah!
Doctor Who, The Young Doctor Adventures, Volume 3, begins the 9th of January 2021 at 12 p.m. And welcome back, and I'm here with Peter Adams. Hello, Pete.
Hello there, Connor. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Very well, very well.
Oh, good, good. Now, we're here to talk about The Young Doctor.
Yes.
And it's more of like a little farewell thing, really. We've just been reflecting on some of the the final moments of the final episode, and a bit of the trailer as well.
Yeah, it's a very emotional thing, really, to be thinking about the final end to my run as the Young Doctor.
Yeah, because
incredible.
Yeah, because I announced it early for the podcast and put the trailer at the end, because we're obviously, this will be coming out within the first few days of 2021, so we're recording this still about 2 weeks away from Christmas. I've actually got a more genuine reaction from people, because originally we were meant to announce it more formally a few days from now, but I thought pulling it in the podcast, and I thought I'll announce it early because I knew we'd be recording. We've got people not very happy.
Yeah, I think when David Tennant quit as the Doctor, there was a huge sort of, oh my God, I can't believe he's done that. There was a genuine concern when he did that, whether the show could actually survive after him. I think what makes Doctor Who such an incredible show, an incredible franchise in general, I think, is just how it's not all about any one person. If you really think about it, it's kind of like it's like when you have some kind of household item, like say like a mop or something, and bit by bit bits of it get broken, or bits of it change, and so eventually what was one thing at the very beginning ends up being a completely different thing by the end of it. And so the mix of companions and the new Doctors, they all interact with one another in different ways. So you get companions from third Doctor's era crossing over into the fourth, and then companions from the fourth crossing over into the fifth. It's all very mingled.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. A few hours ago, Big Finish announced that they're doing a new volume with the 10th Doctor, and it's called 10th Doctor Classic Companions.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're doing the 10th Doctor's got K9, Leela, Nyssa, and who else? I'm going to check this out quickly and find out. But yeah, essentially what you're saying is that they can all cross over with one another, and that's the whole point of it. It's got that sort of fluidity. Ace, that's it. The other one's Ace.
Oh, Ace, that's really good. What I also love though is that there's fluidity in it, and there's also the there's that sort of in between sort of static period. So it's like Tom Baker's era had so many companions, and he crossed over with lots of different eras, and yet there are just those moments where you can think this is classic Tom Baker, or this is classic Colin Baker, or whatever. It's like there's always like an essential Doctor's story for each Doctor.
Yeah.
Even though they have these sort of crossover points, especially around the regeneration time. I think it's always quite interesting when the show made a very clear break. It's only done that a few times in its past. I think that the biggest break was possibly from when it went from black and white to colour.
Oh yeah.
And then again, yeah. There's always that time when they say, okay, right, we have a new sort of head writers and people in charge, and a completely new cast. It's almost like a new show. And I think that's what makes it such a refreshing format.
Well, that's what they've done with the Chibnall era recently as well. They've made a very definite branch off from the Moffat era.
It's become very cinematic. It's become very
because when
American.
Because when it went from Russell T Davies era to the Moffat era, Moffat made it a very transitional thing. Like he didn't jump straight into the change, whereas in this case, Chibnall's just jumped straight for all the change, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing.
I don't know if you felt this, but when I was watching Jodie Whittaker's first season, it almost felt like a different program that happened to be called Doctor Who in some ways.
Well, yeah, it was a lot more grounded and quite different.
Yeah, I think it was striking out and just sort of seeing what worked and what didn't. And
how much of Series 12 have you seen there?
I've seen all of it now, so completely up to date. And in some ways, I think Series 12 is everything that Series 11 wasn't. In some ways, it's like whereas they were trying to establish Jodie's Doctor, the 12th season was like a kind of now we're going to introduce classic stuff. We'll see how that works.
Well, from what I'd seen in an interview, annoyingly, I can remember seeing these in articles, but never remember the source. I wouldn't be a good journalist. Essentially, Chibnall said that Series 11 was supposed to be an introduction for people who'd never seen it before, and then Series 12 was going into the lore, so it's like a reintroduction from basics, basically.
Exactly.
Which I can kind of get on board with. But anyway, young Doctor, how have you got a favourite story or a favourite moment you can think of off the top of your head about Young Doctor? Or was there a particular story that you remember recording for that you're like, oh, actually, I quite like this one?
I think just listening back to the regeneration sequence that you were playing a second ago, and also just listening to the trailer, there's so many great sounding moments. It's hard to try and sort of think and pick the best one. I think in terms of who my character is, I think regeneration scenes are always the most important ones, because that's like the last words of the Doctor kind of sum up who they were and how they want to be remembered.
Without giving away any spoilers, what do you think of your final words?
I loved it. It was very, very, very sweet. I was actually a little bit emotional listening back to it.
Because again, for when you were last on the podcast, we went into great depths about where your Young Doctor originated from originally, which was through fan films that were made nearly 10 to 12 years ago. And as we were saying, that ending was quite rushed, wasn't it, you said?
Yeah, it was very rushed.
Whereas this time we've been able to reinvent that Doctor in a way, because Young Doctor Chronicles is essentially a remaster / remake of those original stories, but we've actually been able to do a full continuation of that Doctor now, give him a bit more depth, and then now give him the send-off. I've seen a lot of people saying, and this isn't a criticism of them, they want more volumes of you, and I'm like, oops. But the problem is, at this stage, Young Doctor is actually, including Chronicles, he's had 5 volumes.
Yeah, quite prolific. It's around a lot.
This was actually something else that I've been talking to recently with some other fans, because the Federation War came out last month. That was the one that you did where the Young Doctor met, his previous self, the Northern Doctor, with the Daleks and everything as well. That was technically the first story that you reappeared as the Young Doctor again since I suppose 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's the strangest thing. I think this is something that I was thinking about before we came on the call. I think one of the best ways for you to judge a Doctor in the show is how they react to the Daleks when they come across them for the first time. Everyone remembers. I mean, this is probably making a lot of assumptions, and I'm trying to think how many people in the audience would have necessarily been around to have seen Dalek in 2005. I certainly remember being terrified watching Christopher Eccleston in that vault communicating with the Dalek.
Yeah, he turned the Doctor turned into someone completely different. Whereas with yourself, the Young Doctor, your first interactions with Daleks was through in terms of the Young Doctor and all the remakes and what we've made. It was still through the remakes of the original audio, so they weren't as fleshed out as it was as we could do it now. So technically, the Federation War, if you really want to look at it, is the first Young Doctor meets Dalek's story in a decade.
Yeah, it was like kind of rediscovering them.
Yeah, and we gave a lot of nice answers as well to because obviously we rewrote the original fan film continuity, where in the original one you made like a decade ago, your Doctor died, but instead now it's Josh. So we gave a lot of answers for the Doctor seeing them for the first time since Josh was killed.
You must both be exterminated!
Stop! You can't!
Explain!
I will not have another person die whilst I stand by and take it.
You will be exterminated!
No, I will not have it.
And that volume is about loss anyway. You've got doctors dealing with different levels of loss in general, so it was perfect time for because we had Dan's Irish Doctor dealing with the loss of another companion, but then obviously we already knew about Josh, and that actually also fills in a part of the gap of because we, in order to explain how the Young Doctor got a bit older, we left a 300-year gap for the Young Doctor where he put himself into self-isolation, I suppose. It's because he lost his friend because his friend died for him and he felt personally responsible.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting topic there, Connor. I think it's always very interesting to see how the Doctor handles loss, because in the classic series you kind of get hints of him being very sentimental, but he never quite sort of lets it get to him too much. Like, he gets very emotional saying goodbye to Susan. That's like the first major departure of a character in the show. And then by the time you get to, say, Adric, Nyssa, Tegan in the early 80s and stuff, when they depart, you do get this real sense of, but we've had a journey with these characters, now we're suddenly going to have to say bye to them. And it's very upsetting. It's like, you know, they're actually crying and it's all normalised and it's very emotive. And also, that's another thing. The companions started getting their own little theme tunes by that point. It's like the companions became their own fleshed out characters who the audience could relate to much more. And it was like a precursor to the idea of, you know, Rose and the more modern companions having proper backstory and a family and a life beyond just travelling.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that Rose is going to be the new modern day Sarah Jane Smith.
I think different generations have their different role models in terms of, like, in the 70s it would have been Sarah Jane. My dad grew up watching the early Pertwee stuff, so he looked up to Katie Manning as Jo Grant, and grew up watching Sea Devils and Killer Maggots from Wales. All that stuff, whereas we grew up with Billy Piper and...
we'll never quite know how our parents feel about Doctor Who until we're older and it's happening to us.
Exactly.
Until we see Billy Piper getting old, or, you know, Eccleston or Tennant, which we already are anyway, and we're in our mid-20s, but when we're their age, and then we're just sort of like, oh my god.
Well, the show's changed a lot in the last 57 years. Goodness knows how it will be different in the next 20 years.
So obviously there's always going to be different ways the show is run. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it still has to be the Doctor in a blue box.
I think the future of television is going to be very different in the next 20 years. Streaming has taken off in a way that I don't think people realise. And so I think the show's going to probably adapt to that in some way. It might become more of a digital thing rather than necessarily a television experience.
Something that John has, my friend John has put forward recently is he thinks Doctor Who should become a serial and released like Netflix series all in one go.
So you can binge watch it.
Yeah, I mean, but I think at the same time that isn't quite how Doctor Who is meant to be enjoyed.
I think the way that Doctor Who has nearly always worked is the idea of the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I think it's always worked very well in the idea that, you don't just sort of dip in and watch the odd episode.
You stick with it.
Hooked. You get hooked by the end of the previous one because something very dramatic's happened and you want to know that they're all okay. And so that means that you sit down in the same spot the next Saturday tea time to watch it at 7 o'clock or whenever it is usually on. There's a certain gap on Saturdays at tea time that Doctor Who is always going to have a very sort of welcome place in, I think.
Well, that's been another thing that's been a controversy with Doctor Who recently, is that they moved it to Sunday.
Yeah, that was a very strange thing.
But in all fairness, I've argued this with a lot of friends who prefer the way it was. I'm like, Saturday there's a lot on, and that's why. And Sunday it's a nice quieter evening.
I read that under John Nathan Turner they did a very strange thing where they wanted to try and still broadcast something like 20 episodes or something, but over half the time that it would take to usually show 20 episodes. They didn't have 6 months to spare, basically, in the early 80s, so rather than doing it from, say, January to June, the BBC said, right, we want you to do 2 episodes a week. And so if we had been Doctor Who fans as children in, say, 1982, rather than sitting down at tea time on a Saturday, watching it episode by episode, week after week, it would have been more kind of the sort of binge watching or kind of CBBC after school kind of thing on a midweek thing. It had 2 episodes a week.
It feels odd to me, that. Different. Yeah. That doesn't seem right to me.
I think it gives you the idea that even in the early Davison years, they were starting to sort of change how they viewed the show. The budget. I think the budget started to really show by 84, when you get all the kind of, there's the big lizard creature that lives under the sea, and people said it was like a pantomime horse, and it was all very slapdash, which is unfortunate.
One thing I don't think we've ever discussed about Young Doctor, not properly anyway, is the fact that more people see your face and think of James M. Dean than they do of you. Because your photo has been used for all of the audios. More people have jumped on with the Young Doctor adventures because they're longer form, they are written as audio dramas and not remasters. So more people have jumped on board with those. But as a result, I've had a couple of people ask me when obviously I mentioned that you were returning to the role, more people asking about, because obviously, essentially the rough backstory is that I've lost contact with the original voice actor and I still haven't found him to this day.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but basically a lot of people think that you are James rather than the other way around. So a lot of people were asking me how I got permission to use the photos still, and I'm like, well, it's Pete.
Just to explain, the photos, it's literally a case of you and me meeting up in London over the last couple of years, because we used to meet up quite a lot before lockdown.
Oh, don't say that. We'll meet again soon. You know that.
Oh yeah, of course.
We'll find time.
We'll have a time when we'll go to the pub and have a pint and a meal somewhere. But we used to meet up a massive amount in our free time over the last couple of years, and so we'd always have a time where we'd be like, "Hey Pete, do you fancy taking a photo for this new series of audios that we're going to be doing?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." And I'd always make sure to turn up looking like I was about to do an episode or something.
Because there's something I always wondered, which was I could never tell if that's just how you would dress and how you wanted to dress for the day, or whether or not you were dressed for what you wanted the Doctor to look like. Which I suppose is a good thing, because it suited you either way.
Yeah, I think naturally I quite like wearing checkered shirts, and if it's cold I like wearing a coat. If it's a nice hot sunny day, I'm not gonna sweat and just unnecessarily sort of bulk myself up wearing ridiculous stuff. But by and large, the sort of pictures you see of me in a checkered shirt and a coat, that's pretty much how I'd probably dress if I was going out for a nice sort of meet up with friends. So yeah, you could say that the way that my Doctor dresses on the covers is kind of me.
There was some. I remember there's one photo of you where you're wearing the dark trousers and the lighter coloured check. Well, I remember where we took that very near to Forbidden Planet.
Yeah,
we were on our way there, and we just kind of everyone carried on walking. I was like, Pete, quickly run over there and look stern from that angle. Then look at the other angle and look stern. Then directly look at me and smile.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And then there was another one you did like which I think was great. You wore inverted shades of colour one day where you still wore the same jacket, but you wore light coloured trousers and dark check. So it was like the best costume variant.
It's the one with, I think I remember you, me, and Dan had a photo together, the three of us.
Yeah, that was October when we were filming The Candidate.
Yeah, we were out filming in
it was King's Cross, I think.
King's Cross, that was it. We went to King's Cross and then we ended up in Stratford.
We watched Joker together, didn't we?
Yeah, so we were in Stratford just sort of larking around, and then you said something about there was like a spot outside our hotel that seemed like the perfect place to do the shoot, and the three of us just stood in a row and there it was.
Yeah.
I see it every so often on my Instagram. It's quite funny.
Is it a lot of people? I pointed out the irony of this, which is you're called the young Doctor, but you're actually the oldest out of all of us in that photo.
That's the funniest thing. Yeah, I'm 26 now. I'm twice as old as I was when I started making fan films.
Oh, don't say that. I'm nearing there. I'm going to be 26 next April.
And so it's quite funny just sort of seeing how I've become the young Doctor. It's like I feel so old now.
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny as well because I'm the Cravat Doctor. He's the oldest one, and we were in age order. And then Dan's the youngest one in the middle. You're the oldest one by like a year on the youngest side, and now I am on the oldest side, being like the middle guy. It was like we kind of swapped you and put you at the back.
I mean, what's quite spooky, Connor, is that I'm the young Doctor, but I've already started finding grey hairs.
Well, we don't want to talk about my hairline, do we?
I was literally just doing something the other week, and my boyfriend found a grey hair, and I was like, oh, no, that's not happening. No, I pulled it out. So it's not there anymore, but it might come back. I don't know.
It'll grow back.
Possibly.
Just ignore it. Or you might have to take to dyeing your hair.
Oh, God. That would be really weird if it's like just sort of like the next time we do some kind of big photo thing for a cover or something, and my hair is like a completely different colour, it looks really fake, and someone's going to be like,
yeah, dye it blonde.
Yeah.
Dye it blonde, be the young blonde Doctor. Well, there's already a blonde Doctor in DW2012. A lot of people have been asking whether or not you're going to regenerate into the blonde Doctor. Which isn't the case because basically there's such a long line of Doctors, but we separate them via era gaps. So for me, it's a case of that's why, like I've said very openly to everyone, it ends open ended, and in a way that still works because that way there is still closure.
There's closure, but it's not bound to any particular destination. I think that's the magic of it.
Yeah, exactly. But in essence, it ends, but ultimately the story continues. You know that essentially your Doctor is placed at the very beginning of the earliest version of this universe. obviously you're after the current ones in the show, but like in terms of the DW 2012 universe, Nathan and then yourself are the youngest ones. So if people are confused, it's like, well, there are like 6 other Doctors.
Yeah, so it's like the sort of the start of something bigger. It's like it's never really the end. The story continues, and there's endless adventures to be had. It doesn't necessarily matter who's having the adventures. As long as it's the Doctor in the TARDIS and his companions, then that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I was about to ask if you wanted to wrap it up. It seems like your flatmates are deciding it for you.
Yeah.
So, are there any final words you want to say? Because the next time you're probably going to be on the podcast is when we talk about Noah Crimson.
Yeah, so I guess what I want to say is it's been a privilege to be able to bring the young Doctor back, and I'm just so glad that I was able to give him the ending that I think he deserved as a Doctor. So thank you, Connor, for bringing me into it.
No worries, all is good. Anyway, well, thank you very much, Pete. I will let the flatmates return to usual duties.
That's all right.
And then back to the rest of the podcast. So there was my conversation with Peter Adams about his final outing as the young Doctor. I'm sure he'll be back for multi-Doctor stories at some point, but in terms of singular, specific adventures about himself, that's it.
Yeah,
and
which will be sad because the only other Doctor who has left now is Luke, and now we have Pete stepping down.
Nathan Carter's once he gets his final story finished, that will be him leaving as well.
That'll be 3 out of the 7 who are now established to have regenerated and gone.
And stepped down, which is an odd feeling. And then obviously there was that little fear that people had about it being, this is the final episode of Resurrection. And I'm like, what, Cravat? And I'm like, no, he lives. He lives. He lives on.
He lives on.
Yeah, I'll talk a bit about that
he dies,
a little bit later, I think. Should we talk a bit about that later towards the end of the podcast, about plans?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But
so
now,
we've bring back the classic comment section. We didn't do any last month, I don't think. Did we do any comment section last podcast? Was it just us chatting about Resurrection, then doing the QA, and then Uncharted Past? We didn't do a comments thing at all for December.
No, we didn't. No,
not December or November even. So there's twice as much to talk about.
Horrible on us.
Yeah, so I'll just open up more videos than I was originally had open.
Let's see. Is there anything I can open up? Because I think I have done a few releases. I re-released the entirety of Volume 2 onto my YouTube
that's
channel.
Cheating.
So is that cheating? How is that cheating?
Because I say so. Starting off with in November, I've got comments on every episode. Yes, every episode of the Federation War. So I'll just quickly do the whole of the Federation War.
Yeah.
As well. All right. From Michael Cox, a brilliant beginning to the Federation War. I like the Northern Doctor's innovative plan. I hate that word. Innovative plan for dealing with the Daleks. Another comment from Doctor Who Lost Adventures. This is a good job with the Federation War. This mini-series has cleared up some confusions about the NTC Pictures Doctor Who and the First Doctor. I don't need to say anything about the Irish Doctor, but this is all great to hear. Yes, there was a bit of confusion about where Nathan's Doctor, the Northern Doctor, was placed in this timeline. But with how we're planning the upcoming volume that Nathan announced called Machination, that will all be explained by then. Another comment on the Federation War. People in episode 3 have said that, like for example, Jeev and John, they've said that ending was amazing and the old theme was such a beautiful addition. And of course, Michael Cox, who played the First Doctor in this episode, an excellent end to the trilogy. Many thanks, Connor, for involving me in the production. And of course, no problem at all, Michael. Your impression is fantastic. What things have you got for the November releases? Or, if not, anything from the re-release of Volume 2?
Going through episode 1 of Volume 2, the re-release, got a few comments. David Whisker, just another pina colada, cup of tea, and a couple of biscuits ready. Let the adventure commence. And a couple of pina colada emojis. We have the Soap Lord. Yay, great way to start the day. And I'm going to butcher this name, but I'll try my best. It's Diaz Bacons 137. I'm very sorry if I couldn't pronounce your username. I blame the dyslexia. I would wow, I love this. Great job, guys. Glad that we can all see this Doctor free audio with the COVID-19 and everything. I don't think some people realize this volume was released since...
That is something I was going to say after you'd finished the comments, going, I've seen the comments already before you even brought them up. A lot of the comments imply that you... Like, I saw one comment that you might pick up later that says, great to see you working so hard to get all this content out for us. And I'm like, this is content that's 11 months old.
Yeah.
Like, we're about to have Volume 3 come out.
Yeah. What I think I might do going forward is I might put a end card at the trailers to a playlist where they can find the volume on your channel.
Okay, yeah, because, I mean, the thing is, I think Volume 1 got released a few months after, didn't it? So, and I remember seeing a lot of comments then. But with Volume 2, it's been a lot longer gap between the two.
Yeah. Especially between Volume 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll let it be known that Volume 3 will be released on Overton Audios in February. So I'll provide a link whenever that comes around. Going on to the Retribution of Davros. We got Hidden Frog. Another fantastic episode. Great job by the team. The end of Davros scene went from heartfelt and touching to dark and brutal in a heartbeat. I love the fire and wrath of the Irish Doctor. Keep up the excellent work. Great film. Enjoy it. Awesome storyline. Thank you very much. Although it is an audio, not a film. But thank you very much. And as well, always from Michael Cox, the great Michael Cox. An excellent adventure. It's always great drama when the Irish when the Doctor meets Davros. It really is,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that because the Retribution was the last. Well, we also got the Christmas special, which we're going on to now,
And the Halloween one.
Yeah.
But in terms of that's something I find quite odd as well, which is for people who are not aware that these get released in advance, people who the audience members or the viewers who are not aware that the Uncharted Past volumes get released in advance of the release on Fractured Timeline believe that the Halloween special is set before Volume 2.
Is it?
No.
Oh yeah, because I released it after Volume 1. Yeah.
No. Because Volume 2 comes out in February. And then the Halloween special is October, so realistically it will be set afterwards anyway, and it's the Volume 2 arc has been resolved. But for some people who aren't aware of that release in advance, for them it goes Volume 1, the Halloween specials, Volume 2, and then the Christmas special, which is just weird to me. It'd be like putting the next Doctor before Series 4.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But there is a full timeline playlist of the Irish Doctor. I made one for every Doctor. And
it depends on how many people will look at that, if you know what I mean. Fans will, but if it's just casual fans, maybe not. But nonetheless, it is just weird to me that people see it that way, you know?
But there is mentions of Amber in that story, which does place it after Volume 2.
True.
Now, going on to the Christmas special, The Beast of Christmas. We have Gareth Morgan. It does make me think. I am grateful for everything, the good things and the bad, the frustration, the frustrating and the sad. It's the fabric of life, like that scarf. You never think to miss things until they are gone. Perhaps ghosts are not the spirits of the dead, but the spirits of the people who forgot they were alive to begin with. Very poetic comment.
Oh yeah,
thank you very much for that, Gareth. Like really thought-provoking, very deep comments.
Very deep.
Wasn't expecting anything, but thank you very much for that, Gareth. Thank you very much. Again, I it's the same comment from before. Biz Backcons 137. Again, sorry, dyslexia. Wonderful. I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this such anticipation. Hope it paid off.
Just to do this guy some justice, his name is D's Bacons 123.
D's Bacons.
D's Bacons, like D's nuts, but D's Bacons.
All right, D's Bacons.
I just had to quickly look it up and do that guy some justice.
I'm so sorry. Professor Provolone. I know this would require this would have required making a new logo, but would have been cool if the gears on the logo were snowflakes. I think he's referring to like my Doctor Who logo, how in O and in some parts of the logo there are like little gears on it.
Oh right.
I think that would have been cool, but considering what we're going for with the specials, where the specials sort of had their own unique logo and tint, and there is snowflakes embedded in the logo, I just don't think it would have been too confusing to have a complete branding change for one special.
Well, the actual show do it enough, don't they?
Well, that was during the Moffat era, and we don't talk about that.
What, the whole era?
Well, the Christmas specials, especially the Capaldi ones.
Well, I mean, that was just a snow filter put on top. I know I'm taking it too specific, and it is a TV show, let alone a children's TV show, but I always hated the fact when they put a snowy TARDIS in the vortex, and yet I know from continuity a glorious visual effects shot they did in The Unquiet Dead. We know Charles Dickens is watching the TARDIS dematerialise and the snow disappears. Well, no, the snow just falls to the ground because the TARDIS disappears. So the snow doesn't go with it.
Yep.
I loved that effect.
And also,
you can just see the snow spiral and fall to the floor. And it's just gorgeous visual effect shot and so bloody subtle. So I don't know why it's always bothered me whenever I've seen the Moffat Christmas special with snow on the TARDIS, and I'm just like, why? I mean, I know it's really weirdly specific. I know it's just meant to be Christmassy for people to enjoy, but I just think it looks ridiculous.
And also, when you compare it to Vincent and the Doctor, when the TARDIS takes off and goes to the gallery, the posters that were like glued onto the TARDIS burn up.
So if anything, it should have melted anyway.
Yeah.
Water. There we go. Covered in
in
water. Why not? No, but like, but yeah, that's just a really specific thing. I don't think it would be such a bad idea to have snowflakes, because there's already little cog shapes coming out of the O's anyway that you could always mistake it for snowflake. But this wasn't the type of story to have snowflakes.
Yeah.
It still felt in the same way that, you know, the mechanical cogs that you have for the O's still very much suited what kind of era you were in anyway for the story, because it is like it's the 1860s, and that's mostly known as the industrial era.
Yeah.
So it still suits that cog look anyway. I think something like if it was a very campy, happy Christmas setting, snowflakes would work. But that's something to think about next time. I know that you've mentioned in the Q&A video that you did on Fractured Timeline that you'd love to do more Christmas specials, of which this is news to me. And so I'm like...
I referred to live action Christmas specials because I did plan one for this year. But obviously because of the event, we could not.
The event. That's what we'll call it now, the event.
Yeah, that's what me and Dom have been referring it to
after the event, things were stopped. But yeah,
yes.
Any more comments?
On the Fractured Timeline giveaway and Christmas Q&A, there was a few comments. First of all, I want to give a little bit of trivia to my Fresh Timeline logo and Uncharted Pass logo, my actual Doctor Who logo. Because I'm getting people saying, is it Capaldi inspired, like with the gears? I've had that logo design since 2013, so no, it's actually not.
What, when Capaldi got announced?
Yeah, but the title sequence hadn't been released then. Well, it had been as a concept, but we didn't know that was the concept they had chosen at the time. So I released a Q&A video on Christmas Day, as well as the announcement of a giveaway. I'm going to plug it in very quickly. If you want to win a Uncharted Pass Volume 1 CD, go on and look at the giveaway details on that video. So we'll go through some of the comments people have released so far. We got a really nice one here from Tars Glitch. Merry Christmas to you, Dan and Anya. I hope you're both safe and are well. I was gutted to know that Dimension of Daleks couldn't be made this year because I was really looking forward to it, but this year has just been terrible for everyone. Hopefully 2021 gives you a better chance to do it, and I can't wait to see the conclusion of the Irish Doctor and Nathan, because I love the father-son relationship between them both. I have a note to have tissues in case I cry at the last story of Volume 4. I can't wait to see what comes out of the Sherlock series. That was something I didn't expect to happen. Good luck for everything in your life to come, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much, Tars Glitch, and it was a good Christmas.
Shall I read a couple of comments from the Q&A?
We'll read the ones that are obviously comments because they want to comment and not comment because they want the giveaway.
Yes, my favourite comment from Jamie Lawrence is Merry Christmas, giveaway. We've got comments.
Okay, Jamie, you win.
Yeah, well done. Now we've got a comment here from Save State that says the DW 2012 series has kept me entertained during the lockdown, and the audio series has been a great time passer during work. I can't wait for the next episode and other projects in the works. Hopefully 2021 will be at least decent.
It will hopefully show mercy.
Oh, and Hidden Frog said a nice little comment as well. Merry Christmas, love everything you do, and hope you have a fantastic new year. This is not a comment for the giveaway. I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you very much.
Which means he has to get it now.
If he wins, it's just like, how convenient.
How convenient that we said it wasn't for the giveaway.
Michael Cox has also given us a comment. And a very Merry Christmas to you, Dan, and to Anya, and all the members of the family. Although I'm looking forward to the conclusion of your regeneration process, I'm going to miss regular outings from the Irish Doctor. I do hope he will emerge in yearly specials and/or multi-Doctor stories.
You've made a very definitive decision on that, haven't you?
About what will happen after I regenerate?
Yeah, what will be the future of Irish Doctor after you regenerate? I know that right now this is the current decision you're having, but obviously your outlook will be different by the end.
The visual appearances will be very scarce and be very, very rare. Audio appearances are still to be decided upon. We're looking at options for audios at the moment, but I'm closing the door on it, but I'm not locking it.
My other comment here, which I just wanted to bring up, is from Jeevan John. Connor is probably shaking his fist at your hat. Yes.
What hat is that?
The hat you're bloody wearing right now.
Oh, am I wearing it?
Yes, you are wearing that hat, despite the fact that you say you have washed. But yet, your hair looked fine. You decided to wear it to spite me.
Would I do that, Shatters? Would I really do that to you?
Yes.
Would you like me to take it off?
If you want, but obviously that's up to you. How you feel about our friendship. I'd rather keep it.
Well, I think a lot of our friendship. I don't think a hat should be the defining factor of what our friendship is.
It's not based on. It's not that I hate the hat. It's that it does make you look like a a YouTube influencer, and that's something I don't like.
Okay, then. So if it makes me look like the thing you don't like, then you don't like me?
Didn't say that.
Well, then what...
It makes you look like something evil.
Oh, so you, all right. Just answer me this: do you or do you not want me to take off the hat?
It would be obviously my version of the purest Daniel is one without the hat. Obviously, I'm able to look past the hat. The moment the Q&A video opened in front of me, and you're like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" and I'm like, "He's wearing the hat." The moment I saw through you and just saw someone who gets paid millions to talk in front of a camera.
I was hardly paid millions to make that video.
No, you were paid nothing, in fact. And the problem is the hat made you believe you were. The hat has taken you over.
In fact, I'm giving something away. If anything, I've lost more making this video than I did going into it.
But look at the amount of comments you've gained.
Yes, it's doing the YouTube algorithm for me a great service.
Yeah, YouTube loves giveaways. Notice how as soon as you put down it was a Q&A and giveaway video, it's got more views than the Christmas special got.
That is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate you've fallen into the trap of the hat.
Mm-hmm.
The hat and the title has turned you into one of them. Look at what you've become.
I promise you this. I promise you, going forward, any videos, I'll try to rarely make that, bring out the hat.
And you say as you push the hat currently on into your head now. You're keeping it firmly on your head now.
Well, I already have it on.
You didn't before we pressed record.
Well,
you put it on to record. Nobody can see you.
I've had it since the beginning of the podcast, and I will see to it finishes with.
You thought I should probably wear a hat for this, considering it's an audio-based program that we are making.
And you're the one who's making a fuss about the hat.
Yes, because it's made you into something
they
you're
wouldn't
not.
have known I was wearing this hat unless you pointed it out.
It's making you into something you're not, Daniel. And I'm trying to protect you. It's a new year, new me, but we don't want to lose you.
It's just a hat.
No,
it's a hat with my logo
it's a symbol
on it.
of evil. Look at what it did. Look at what it did. The moment you put that hat on and put giveaway video, you got more views than the things that we've spent hard making, that you gave to me last minute to make.
That's hardly my fault.
Yes, it is. You chose the hat over your friends. All that hard work on the Christmas special. All that hard work, then the hat comes in and takes it all away.
I'm giving away a CD that we also worked hard on, so it balances out.
Yes, using the hat for evil schemes.
I'm using the hat to benefit us.
Benefit us, but not the world.
In all fairness, 2020, what has the world given us?
What, and you think using more plastics would be fine?
What?
You think using plastic would be fine?
What do you mean plastic?
What were you just holding?
It's nothing. It's also.
Why are you taking out a pocket knife? See,
it's
Dan?
not a pocket knife. It's Allen keys.
Well, it's turned you into something you're not. You thought you were looking at CDs. You're in fact looking at Allen keys.
But just for reference, it is an Allen key. It's not a knife.
How do they know?
But if Connor keeps challenging me on the hat, it soon will be a knife.
Well, Dan, here's the thing. The hat's just made you threaten my life.
That's hardly changed.
Okay, Dan, no more last minute specials then.
Okay, I take off the hat.
Okay, well, I'll read some comments and then we'll go on to the DDK talk. So I got some comments on the Christmas special of Resurrection, the final episode of Resurrection. One from Jeevan John, which is, has the Doctor regenerated? Has the Doctor redecorated, as in the TARDIS? Yes. The interior is the same, but the doors aren't. If any eagle-eyed listeners haven't listen to Robert's Christmas Adventure, you'll notice that the door sound when they walk into the TARDIS and when you see it from point of view, when it starts already in the TARDIS and then the people walk in, you'll notice that the actual sound of TARDIS doors, like internal doors, are hearing. That is now, rather than it being a direct police box door entrance, it is now actually separate doorways. And that was just to show that time had moved on. Also, as well as that, the TARDIS took a bit of a beating in the Series 4 finale. So the Doctor just needed to fix some bits up and make a few little changes here and there, and it was also just kind of nice to have that sound effect used as well. So it was all just kind of in the case of the TARDIS was already in a bad way anyway after what happened. The Doctors needed to spruce things up a bit, and I also thought, getting across the whole time has passed here. It's been, I know, we think we jumped 5 years into the future here. For the Doctor, it's 5 years ahead. Just to show that, this is a little while into the future. It's no longer just a normal wooden door. It's an actual set of big timber waxed doors.
So it could have been possible as well. They're referring to the fact you were wearing a scarf, as in the Doctor himself have redecorated for the Christmas season.
Well, that was because I'd forgotten my Doctor's costume. That was taken the 22nd of December 2019 when I met up with Hugo. We also filmed a short film as part of Fragments Series 2 called Unity, which came out in the new year, last year. And that's also available. But I'd worn my Doctor's coat because that is just my normal coat, and we were talking about having me wear a scarf with the cravat and everything, but I'd just forgotten the cravat and waistcoat because that wasn't the primary reason why we were there. So we just took a photo where I'm stood at an angle and you can't see the cravat because there isn't one, and etc. etc. We just and I think my head got replaced by you, to be honest. It's a replacement head.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's much of a replacement head. It's like you sent me two photos. One which I think I preferred.
Well, that's actually the head. That photo, the body is of me at the end of 2019. The head is of me at the beginning of 2019 when we met Chelsea.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, so it's me a year apart on one body. But yeah, the last comment I got was from Michael Cox, and he said, "Love the blend of character development and drama. Happy Christmas and keep up the good work." Are there any other comments you want to read from the Q&A video?
I've got two more here I would like to read out. One is from Josh Murphy Studios. Fantastic video, and thank you for answering my question. And I can't wait to see what is to come in 2021. Merry Christmas and have a happy and safe New Year. There's lots to look forward to in 2021. And I think it's Valerie Vale.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the coming Sherlock one. Merry Christmas, and hope your 2021 is so much better than expected. Thank you very much. Do I think anything else? Patrick Sherwood, nice video as per usual. Keep up the great work with the series and the audio series. Can't wait to see what's going to come next with in the Uncharted Past series with the final volumes 3 and 4. There's a lot to look forward there. David Whisker, as I'm not on Instagram, being an older regeneration, would you consider working the Balneary Stone, the Giant's Causeway, or some other historic monuments into a future story?
Historic Irish monuments.
Irish monuments, yes. I love the title, the Balneary Stone as a title. Happy Christmas from an exile in England. Oh, thank you very much, David. And just to quickly answer, I would love to put more Irish monuments into the series. We'll certainly try and find a way how. I think the Giant's Causeway is a must-have in a future story. Would you agree, Cheddars?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Maybe you should come down and we can film some Doctor Who with a Giant's Causeway.
Yay. COVID permitting.
COVID permitting, yes.
Yes, because you're on lockdown now, and I'm in tier 4. We are in dangerous places.
Well, hopefully, come spring, we'll bring some opportunity.
Yes, indeed. Fingers crossed. Now, would you like to go and talk to DDK now?
Yes, and now let's cut away to my chat with the fine folks over at DDK Productions.
You seem surprised. This day was inevitable.
The Doctor is not a good man. He helps no one. He ruins everything he touches.
Time travel. One day things will happen in the right order.
The laws of time have no limits now.
You can't do this. You'll destroy everyone and everything.
Witness your future, Doctor! This is how you fall!
Find people that truly care about you. Don't settle for anything less.
Hold on tight.
Hello everyone, today I am joined with two members of DDK Productions, Callum Swan and Daniel J. Clark. Introduce yourselves, guys.
Who wants to go first?
Go on, Callum, you take it.
Okay, sure. Hello, my name is Callum Swan. You may know me as the Odyssey Doctor from Doctor Who Odyssey and more recently Doctor Who Guardian. And I'm also one half of the writing directing team for Guardian 2020.
Cool. My name's Dan Clark. You don't normally see me so much in DDK. I'm obviously the writer and director as well, along with Callum for Guardian 2020. But yeah, I try and hide myself away a little bit. My actors kind of stay in front, to be fair.
Also, just very nice to finally talk to you guys, because we've been chatting a lot on Facebook, and it's the first time we've been chatting together, so it's very nice to finally talk to you guys and hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, this is not, we don't normally do stuff like this, so this is kind of a first of us doing like an interview, so hopefully it'll be a nice little insight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's nice to finally meet you as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Often time.
It is through Messenger. So guys, busy from the looks of things, from the looks of your YouTube channel, busy year.
It's been, oh man, yeah. No, it's been a busy, in terms of filming, I'd say it's been a busy 2 years, because like what probably isn't apparent from the way the videos are uploaded is that we went straight from sort of post-production on Icarus immediately into filming Guardian 2020. So it's been it's been
yeah, it's certainly been a bit of a journey, I would say. Like I don't think we've properly slept in that amount of time, to be fair, as well. But it's nice looking back, you know, and I guess with those stories as well, we kind of look at them a little bit like a trilogy, obviously, because you get the Time Lords and all of that, and it all comes back together in Guardian 2020 as well. So it's nice that it's kind of all linked together as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a nice trilogy of sorts. Was that planned to be a trilogy, or did it just sort of come together that way?
Oh, that's a big question. Okay, yeah, no. Wow. So, it all sort of began, and Dan, sort of interrupt me and add things here, because I know this is quite the tale, as I'm sure you know as well. Basically, post the Odyssey Audios Wave 1 finished, that we did. And then we actually decided that we wanted to wrap that story up pretty much straight away, and that's where Icarus came from. And then as for how we were going to finish off Guardian, that went through various iterations, and we eventually landed on a 2-part finale. Even though it going into Siege, it didn't necessarily look like it was going to be a 2-parter. It ends up that way. And that's just sort of how that evolved. And yeah, just midway through the writing process, we decided we were going to bring back all the Time Lord elements from Icarus Falls and make it all one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of, I guess with Guardian 2020, we had different ideas about what we wanted to do, as Callum was saying. But I think when we kind of looked at bringing the Odyssey Doctor into the story as well, we kind of figured that having some of the elements from Icarus, obviously returning characters such as the Castellan, and returning elements, we wanted to kind of link it all together and make the story seem like there was like a massive plan, and we had everything go together really. But
whether or not there was a massive plan, we cannot say.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes there was a plan that we wanted to do, and we wanted to sort of bring everything together. But I think, as the creative process goes, sometimes you kind of find different avenues that previously were a little bit unexplored. So it was nice kind of bringing everything together, Odyssey and Guardian and all of those elements. And obviously, as the big final as well, we obviously wanted to almost have a bit of a celebration of everything we had done as well, which was nice. So I think everything aligned perfectly in what we wanted to do, really.
Yeah, well, from the outside, it definitely paid off. It was a really good finale, and they're saying plans always do change. That speaks broadly for filmmaking in general. Nothing ever goes to plan, doesn't it?
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So definitely, it was good. Yeah, but it still turned out great, phenomenal. I don't know what the original plan was, so I can't speak speak which one's better. But you.
Yeah,
very good finale there, guys.
I mean, like, obviously, originally we started with Guardian, and back in the day, obviously, we're starting with Broken Memories, and obviously there was a plan that we were following for that. I mean, I wouldn't say the plan has changed massively from what we started with. The kind of the end goal that we sort of originally planned, we kind of still aimed for that and still went for it. But there were elements that changed along the way, and obviously Odyssey enhanced that, and all the elements that we kind of brought from that story. Because obviously, Guardian was originally our series, and there was no Odyssey. It was only really when
I just showed up midway through and just thought I'd take a sledgehammer to everything. Really, it was
you did. You just showed up, and you know, obviously Callum kind of approached myself and Kieran, who plays the Guardian Doctor, back in the day, and obviously we then created Odyssey, we did Wave 1 and then Icarus, and it just fitted together, and that sort of story. So we linked the two together really. But Guardian did change a little bit, but not, as I say, like the end goal that we were sort of going for was sort of the same in some ways as well. But yeah, it's been good to sort of finish it off.
I think I see a few things. Like, you've had this filmed. Did you film this? The 2-parter, like, how long did it take you to film? Because I think you show a thing that you had this filmed for quite a while, but then post took some time. Is that the case, or
that is absolutely the case? Yeah.
Yes.
We shot this between August and September, I want to say 2019. October 2019. There was a massive 3-week filming block in August, where we did a good 90% of everything, and then things were picked up, stuff like milestones and so on and so forth were filmed a month or so later, and things like the prequels were done in pickups. But if what you're asking is, was it all done before the pandemic? Yes, it was.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, because obviously, like, it's just like, I was thinking to myself, how did they get that done this year?
Yes, no, it was post took, well, actually, when you look at it, post took almost a year.
Yeah, we kind of, it definitely took longer than perhaps we would have liked to. Obviously, that was partly down to the pandemic and of other elements. Obviously, Callum mentioned his degree. Callum's responsible for a lot of the sort of VFX and stuff. So getting all of that done in time with balancing his degree, and obviously I have a full-time job as well. It was difficult, and it did take a bit longer than sort of what we wanted. But we're happy with the result, as you say. Like, the creative process can sometimes get a bit long-winded sometimes.
Yeah, I understand posts better than probably most other people, so I completely get it, especially with the end products. Like, okay, I can tell why it took a while in post, especially whilst balancing, your life outside of the films.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually. So tell us about, like, let's go back a little bit. It's like DDK, like, tell me about like the formation of that, how you guys started off, and growing up and growing to make your first. When I say first film, I know you have have a pilot there. You can talk about the pilot. You can talk about the first episode in your series.
I'll just take a back seat because I wasn't there.
No, you're a later edition, aren't you, Callum? Yeah. I mean, kind of DDK was formed sort of towards the end of 2013. It's a lot of friends that I've had sort of through my life. They've often been sort of involved in acting, and I myself was involved in kind of like theatre a bit as well. I'm not really an actor myself. That's kind of why I hide behind the camera. But like, for example, Kieran, he was in the year above me at college and stuff like that. So obviously I was friends with him, and he happened to be I believe he was doing creative and media, and one of his projects happened to be doing a TV recreation of just anything, and they chose The Lodger from Doctor Who, Series 5. So Kieran kind of put that together with a group of friends who are also my friends as well. And I saw Kieran as the Doctor, and I spoke to one of my friends who was also involved in DDK as well, and I was like, do you know what? I've always really, really wanted to make a Doctor Who story. You know, I've been a fan of Doctor Who all my life as well, and you know, I've always been passionate about it. I was like, and I've watched people like Batman March and stuff like that back in the day, and I've always wanted to kind of go on and do my own thing, really. So with my friend, we approached Kieran and was like, I saw you as the Doctor, and kind of let's go away and let's try and actually make a Doctor Who fans film, and basically that's what we did, really. So with a few friends there, we kind of formed DDK, and it was our intention to make a full series at that point, but obviously being sort of a lot more inexperienced back then, we decided then to sort of go away and actually make a series, and we ended up with Gravestone, which is our pilot episode. So that was kind of our test run of just giving it a go, really, and that was kind of what survived of all the original filming that we did. So we made Gravestone. That was fun, and then after that, myself and Kieran kind of got together and we're like, well, do you know what? Let's actually try and make a full series and just see what happens. So we made, we obviously then decided on doing Guardian. That would be sort of it was kind of a start again for us, because obviously the pilot episode is completely unrelated to what we've done here. So we decided to create Guardian, and then obviously that had a series, and obviously, as you can see, we finished it off this year, which was fun. So in the original run, we had the original 4 episodes that we created for those. But then obviously we kind of took a back seat from Doctor Who. It was at that point Kieran actually went to acting school at Drama Studio London, DSL. And that's kind of when Callum approached us, having seen our Doctor Who thing and being involved with Kieran. I'll let Callum explain that a little bit later on as well.
Sure, yeah.
But you were involved with Kieran.
Yes. Yeah.
Go on. Yeah, you go on.
Oh, sure. Okay. Kieran and I went to the same informal extracurricular acting lessons that sort of existed before Kieran went to drama school. And I had been involved on and off with some side projects of his in an acting capacity. And at the same time, I'd really been getting into Big Finish. Spending a lot of time sat indoors listening to that rather than going outside and breathing fresh air. And if anything was going to come of that, it was me pitching to Kieran and Dan and just the DDK Productions in general, an audio series, which was Doctor Who Odyssey, and I wanted to play the Doctor and so on and so forth. I had 2 scripts already to go, which were The Automaton and What It Takes, and then a writing slot that they could fill, and yeah, we just sort of got on with that really in the gap while Guardian wasn't happening. And then while Guardian wasn't happening, Odyssey grew into a full-length fan film with Icarus, and then once Icarus was done, all the resources and everything fell into place for us to finish off Guardian and finish off Doctor Who in general. So yeah, it's I don't know how many people who watch our stuff or watch the stuff that I've made are aware that I was definitely not there from the start, and I have been involved for less than half of DDK's existence, just the more recent stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
I didn't. That's news to me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. But yeah, obviously we've done a few other sort of short films and stuff that we kind of, as we kind of went through Doctor Who, obviously we discovered a bit more about our love for filmmaking as well as the acting side of things, and then obviously the rest is history, really.
Yeah, I've seen a few short films as well. Peculiar Interests, is it?
Piqued Interest. Yeah, that was
Peaked Interest.
A fun experiment.
So that's my dyslexia to go in there, but but yeah, I saw that. I was like, there's like a homage to sort of like Pulp Fiction or films like that.
Yeah, we had a bit of fun with that.
Yeah. Well, go back to those in a bit because I would like to talk to you guys about your short films. Now, just a quick question, and this is purely because I'm just curious, not much of a more of a question. What does DDK stand for?
Yeah, it actually DDK originally. Kind of the way we go with it now is it's just DDK. That's just how we've been known. But originally, when we started, it stood for Dan, Deanna, Kieran. Deanna was the friend that I mentioned when I was talking about sort of when we created Gravestone. But it was just the 3 of us that came together. We couldn't think of another name, so we thought, let's just call it us. let's go down that route.
Oh, DDK, it flows up the tongue. It's short. It's nice. It works.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a happy sort of.
It's gotten us
thing.
this far, so yeah.
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 So yeah.
Yeah, it works. So as you guys mentioned in a post, that's The Last Doctor is going to be your guys' last fan film. What do you guys got anything else planned? Any films, or what do you guys see yourselves doing in the future?
We do have things that are in the works that we absolutely cannot say anything about. Unfortunately,
secrets.
Big secrets. They are not Doctor Who, but that's all we can say for now. That's
well, that was a short interview.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was nothing coming out of there, Cal.
I'm sealed shut. I'm sorry. I've got to be.
Oh, it's all those contracts in there now.
There's blasted NDAs.
Yeah, all those.
I feel bad now. I should expand on the answer. Yeah, like in terms of the decision to leave Doctor Who behind, I don't think it's because we have any real problem with Doctor Who. We love making Doctor Who, and it taught us a hell of a lot about filmmaking. It's just that we, as much as we always had, hopefully, good ideas for telling Doctor Who stories, we also have a bunch of good ideas for original projects and stuff. And being happy enough with what we've learnt within the confines of the Doctor Who formula, we now want to go and not be released from that, but you see what I mean, in that we want to just try and make stuff that that is completely stands on its own 2 feet, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are storytellers, and Doctor Who is just one story you want to tell.
That's a great way of looking at it. Yeah,
that was a great way. Yeah. It's been nice. I mean, as Callum said, look, we've learnt a lot from doing Doctor Who, and it's been great to kind of have it as our way of learning and stuff like that. And I think that's worked out good for us. But I think for us now, we just want to take what we've learned and put it into something else and just see what we can create, basically. So yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah. So would you, again, like I know you guys can't say, but is like stuff in the future gonna be like stuff like you've done before with like films like Peaked Interests and other short based projects you've done, or will it potentially be long form projects like what the Guardian 2020 project was like?
Potentially both. I'd say that's the great thing now. We've got room for both, and we've got ideas for both. And because we're not constrained by something that is really rigorous and difficult to make, like Doctor Who, we can be more off the cuff with it.
Yeah,
definitely.
So yeah, expect both.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, we're not necessarily looking just to stick in the sort of sci-fi genre. Obviously, as Callum mentioned, we've got a few different projects planned and things that we want to do and ideas that we've got, but they're not, what I will say is they're not necessarily all in the sci-fi genre.
Yeah.
So, a little nugget of information there for you.
That all sounds good, man. So since you guys can't talk about the future, let's talk about some of the past films you've done. Peaked Interests. Is there anything you can really tell us about that production? Because I watched it and it gave me sort of Quentin Tarantino vibes in terms of its style and its direction. Is that what you was that what you're going with that film?
Yeah, I mean, it was something. I mean, Kieran and myself have always been sort of Tarantino fans. I mean, possibly probably less so now as filmmakers. But sort of when it was an area that we wanted to explore, and obviously it's so different to sort of anything Doctor Who that we've done before or anything in that genre. I think it was another sort of time of us trying to push ourselves and just see what we could do. It's possibly not the sort of direction that we go in the future again, but it was a nice project to sort of learn again and try and do something a little bit unique. I know that Kieran kind of had the script from when he was at Peer Productions, which he went to just before Drama Studio London. So yeah, it was a nice sort of thing to get involved. Obviously, Callan, you were actually there at that point. You were involved in that one.
Yes, that was sort of midway through Odyssey when that were being sort of produced alongside each other, and I was just there, sort of helping out. It wasn't. I was sort of not on the sidelines for that project. I was on probably about half the shoot days, and I did the closing title sequence and things that. But I was churning out the audios at that point, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah, we kind of just left you to it. We locked you in a cupboard and just left you.
Whether or not that was a good idea, I guess.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys like want to talk about in terms of what you've done before, or like stuff we may not know about the Siege of Time and The Last Doctor?
I think there's an avalanche of
trivia.
Content. Yeah, there's definitely an avalanche of content around Siege and The Last Doctor that's maybe worth bringing up. Dan, do you want to talk? Yeah, what about sort of us actually writing it and deciding what we were going to do?
Oh yeah, okay. Let's. Yeah, do you want to start or shall I go?
I'll start. Given that, I'll start, and then you can. How about all the things you added to the scripts? You talk about, and I'll talk about the initial thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, it's the winter of 2018-2019. We finished filming on Icarus, and we're looking to return to Doctor Who Guardian / finish Doctor Who in general. Because that's also something that's probably worth mentioning, is that we weren't always gonna just make it Doctor Who Guardian episodes 5 and 6. It could have just been like a generic DDK Doctor Who finale. But I'll explain how we sort of got from one to the other. So originally it was just going to be an hour-long finale special that we were going to do. It had a different title that I cannot remember, but it had the Valiard in it. It had the Castellan in it. It had Kieran's Doctor, it had my Doctor, Barry was still taken out of the story. All these things that you've seen in the final product were there, but we just had so much to cover. It was always inevitable that what we were going to do was going to get extended. And when we split it into 2 episodes, that was when we were like, okay, well, let's just make it Doctor Who Guardian episodes 5 and 6. And then call it a day after that.
Pause here. Go watch Guardian episode 5 and 6, then come back.
And that's where things like the Master's betrayal at the end of The Last Doctor, spoiler alert, I hope everyone listening to this has watched them. Yeah, I guess that's that really. Dan,
yeah.
And at that point, Dan added a bunch of things to the story.
Yes, I did. I kind of definitely went through with a creative paintbrush and literally just put a load of different things, much to Callum's horror in a way.
It all worked out fine.
It did. I mean, yeah, obviously, going back to what you were saying about obviously going with it being episode 5 and 6, like Guardian, obviously, we kind of finished with the Black Facade in 2017, I believe, and obviously there was such a big gap between anything Guardian. Obviously, the real life reason for that was obviously Kieran went to drama school, and obviously it was very difficult to kind of just film it in summer, and then we had Peaked and other projects and an Odyssey, and it was kind of like so many different projects that we were trying to do. So obviously we kind of left Guardian a little bit. I think we always wanted to come back, and definitely, as Callum said, it could have been a final, but we definitely wanted to finish off the story. The episode 5 and 6 that we got with the Siege of Time and the Last Doctor, they are definitely different from the original sort of episode 5 and 6. Obviously, there was, as I mentioned earlier, there was another sort of storyline that we're going for. It kind of all landed in the same place, but yeah, this is kind of the way we went with it. So yeah, as Callum sort of said, 5 and 6, we had those 2 episodes. I think it's fair to say, Callum, that I was a bit more responsible for the Time Lord element, bringing that back from Icarus.
Yeah, even though it came from Odyssey,
yes,
which is quote unquote my series, all the elements from Odyssey that ended up in the finale, except the Odyssey Doctor, were Dan's idea to bring across. Initially, the story sort of had the Valiard and the Master in it, but they were completely on their own. There was no Gallifrey surrounding them, which was purely because I sort of have a view which I know a lot of people disagree with, but I have a view that the Time Lords are sort of overused in Doctor Who, and if you're going to do it, you got to do something original and interesting with them. So when Dan said he wanted to put them in, I was like, that's okay, but we're going to do something original and interesting with them, and what that ended up being was effectively making them fascists.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun, and obviously it was nice because we had different actors come in and playing some of the characters, like Morbius, obviously, because we decided to make her regenerate or shoot her at the end of Icarus Falls as well. So yeah, it was good to kind of add those elements, and I think it's quite interesting. It's an interesting concept to see the Time Lords as these sort of terrible people. Obviously, Doctor Who's touched on it before, but I definitely wanted to push further with that and see really sort of what they could get up to if like a horrible dictator like Morbius was in command of all their forces and what have you. So it was an interesting idea to explore. So obviously it works because obviously we could tie it in with the sort of origins of the Valiard that we were going for. And it tied. We felt that it tied the whole story together, and we could do some interesting things there. Obviously, we haven't, apart from with Icarus, the Guardian Doctor hadn't really touched on sort of meeting the Time Lords before, so it was nice to sort of bring that whole element into it as well. So yeah, obviously the Time Lords I brought in. I also brought in Nancy as well. For me, I really wanted the story to feel like a jumping on point as well, because obviously it had been so long since the Black Facade. Some people, probably hadn't watched that, so I thought, well, to make it a little bit more accessible, let's introduce another companion, have the Doctor sort of meet this companion, and then just the whole sort of story. And obviously there was a lot of parallels to sort of Dorothy that we wanted to do with the Odyssey Doctor's companion. so that was definitely something that we had in mind for that as well. And we didn't want there to be too heavy involved in Guardian, and because Icarus had been a bit more recent, obviously it made more sense to sort of tie those 3 stories together a lot more and make it a bit more of a trilogy. And that's kind of why we decided, obviously, not to. Obviously, I know we got the prequels as well that we kind of that were kind of something that I pushed very hard on to sort of tie together old Guardian and Guardian 2020, as we call it. So that was good, obviously, and that's why we didn't really bring Barry back in the main story, because it felt too much like a constraint on the story, and we didn't really want to sort of have too many limitations. We wanted to have a little bit of freedom with what we were doing. So I guess, like, originally, as Callum said, it was one part which originally probably was more of The Last Doctor than The Siege of the Time. I was probably a bit more responsible for making The Siege of Time and kind of having that as an intro story.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Another good insight for people will probably be that the Siege of Time is mostly your script with me fiddling with it, and then The Last Doctor is mostly my script with you fiddling with it.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's still enough of us in both of them to justify the fact that we sort of claim both of them. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and yeah, I know what you mean. Sort of like, you want this to be a finale, but at the same time, you want it to be something that's accessible to people just jumping in.
Yeah,
so,
which sounds really counterintuitive now you say it like that, but somehow we managed to make it work. So yeah, I'm not sure, but there you go.
which also I think adds to the quality, because it means that Siege of Time and The Last Doctor can stand as its own thing and still work.
Yeah, I think from looking at the analytics and stuff, they have picked up new people who I hope have gone back and watched the old stuff. But yeah, it has brought in new viewers. So Dan, Nancy was a good idea. There you go.
See, it worked out. I get to say I told you so. No, yeah, it made sense, I think, and I mean, as you say, you never know really who's sort of been watching it, and I think having it more accessible, especially when it probably was about 3 years away from sort of the Black Facade, and I just felt it needed to be sort of a bit more accessible for sort of new viewers, and even for old viewers that might have watched the episodes like 3 years ago and thought, well, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the Awakening prequel definitely helped with that, I feel. Rerunning everyone through everything.
Definitely.
Great stuff. I think we're basically there. I'll ask one last question. Like, we'll put the episodes 5 and 6 down, because I know you two will probably pick that. What's your favorite episode? Both. What's your favorite episode of the series that from Guardian or Odyssey?
Well, that's a difficult one, isn't it?
Dan, you know my answer to this, don't you?
I think I do. I mean, you might as well say it anyway.
Okay, so my favourite script/story is Sound of Oblivion from the Odyssey Wave 1 audios, because I think it has so much more emotional maturity and stakes than a lot of other stuff that we've made, and a lot of Doctor Who fan content in general. And Dan really surprised me with that script. Like it's one of the very few times I've been reading a script and thought, wow, that ending and the way that everything comes together is truly something. And even though it's probably one of our less well-known stories, it will probably forever be my favourite. Although I do love Siege and The Last Doctor as well, in their own way. But yeah, Sound of Oblivion is my favourite story that we've ever done.
Cool.
I'll definitely check your audios out. I haven't done so yet. Yes, I'm slacking my own wrists.
No,
currently.
It's okay. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah,
I'll fix that after we record this.
The Automaton is slightly long, but ultimately charming. Sound of Oblivion is way better than it should have been, and What It Takes is also I'm pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think I would actually say I'll be diplomatic, and I'll go with favourite for each Doctor. I do like What It Takes for the Odyssey Doctor. I think that was a great script by yourself, Callum.
Well, thank you.
But I also really like Obsession for Murder from Original Guardian. That was one of Kieran's scripts, which was I thought he put together really well. It was quite I would argue probably a unique idea at the time that he sort of came up with, and it was certainly different to what we'd done before. But yeah, I think he did really well with that one, and it was nice to sort of see him write for his own Doctor, because some of the dialogue in there is actually incredible for him, which I think is fair to say. But there is some very funny Guardian Doctor moments, I would say.
Yeah, that's really good. That's very good as well. And for a Lonely Doctor, I suppose.
Yeah, he shows up all over the shop. He's just
poor Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, Ian, for a bit of context here, Ian is one of my friend's dads, who owns the Dalek that we use. And we kind of like back in the day when we were making Guardian, we're like, oh, Ian would be a great Doctor Who. He loves Doctor Who. It's like his favourite. We were like, oh, let's get Ian as Doctor Who, and it was great.
And now we just have this incarnation that just shows up in the most random of places and brings a smile to everyone's face.
Is he like the Stanley cameo equivalent of a Doctor?
He really is. He really is.
Definitely. I think he probably actually appears in more episodes than probably you and Kieran when you think about it.
He definitely appears in more than me, because he's in, if you count So Very Alone and things like that, then he probably is in more episodes than me. Not because he's in Icarus as well. So like,
yeah, in Icarus, in Obsession, in
The Last Doctor.
In The Last Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler, yeah.
It's fine. We've done the spoilers now. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We're sorted.
They should know. They've been warned.
They've been warned. They've had their warning.
Ian's great fun to work with, though.
Yeah. He's a top guy, to be fair, and it's great because obviously it was nice that I remember actually because when we were starting to do the filming for actual Original Guardian, I remember my friend Adam messaging me saying, "Oh, you never guess what? My dad's just bought a Dalek," and I was like, "Okay, that's cool.
Can we use that, please?
Can we use that? Can we have that, please?" And I remember Ian saying, "Oh, all right then." It's bribery to make him Doctor Who, but there you go.
Is the bribery? He's like, okay, if you let us use a Dalek, you can be a Doctor.
It's just like it worked out. Yeah, we were kind of like, just Doctor, and we just use your Dalek every now and then.
Then he becomes a fan favorite. So there's no.
That's true. Yeah, it all works out. Always works out. Is that Dalek? Is it like mechanically operated, or does someone actually have to be in it to?
No, it is. So, what's a good example? Oh, right. So the fight scene at the beginning of Icarus Falls, where it's sort of moving down the hallway towards the colonists. That is entirely me crouching behind it, pushing it along the hallway. There's no way of getting inside it at all.
No, it's basically a giant RC one, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So.
It was hilarious though, actually, going back to that memory on set when
if you watch the Icarus behind the scenes, I do nearly run someone over with it.
You do nearly run someone over, and you had to do the voice as well, didn't you? Because the lights flash.
It's so weird. So like the lights on the top of it, there's no they just respond to ambient noise. So like someone has to be on set saying at the Dalek lines. So I just went for it.
You did it.
And it was really,
don't lie,
really
you loved it. It was your favourite thing you've ever done. Forget the Odyssey, Doctor.
I demand a cut where you just use Callum's
I
lines
think
as a
we
dog.
should. Although I feel Luke Lane would be very upset
would
with
throw a
us.
rager if we did that. He'd not be happy.
I think he'll take the joke well.
Again, I think it's there in the behind the scenes, and then I cut to Luke doing it properly. But yeah,
somewhere, I feel like that's there somewhere. But we actually probably when we did Icarus, it was actually a mistake not to put your voice in it, Callum, because it was quite. It's something. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, it's not good.
Oh no, it's quality gold, mate.
It's comedy.
Comedy gold.
You're probably going to get comments now saying that we demand the Callum Dalek.
We demand a Dalek story where Callum is the Daleks with no voice modulation whatsoever. Just
release the Callum Swan Dalek
screaming at a microphone. Yeah.
Wait till you see. There will be demand for that now.
No more Doctor Who. We're done. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I know you said, in terms of Doctor Who film-wise, you are finished. Would you ever go back to Doctor Who with audios, especially with the rise in popularity in Doctor Who audios lately?
Could neither confirm nor deny anything.
It sounds like there's plans.
I think it's important to say we're not like shunning Doctor Who, rejecting it, saying no, we hate it, we're never going to do it ever again. We do. I can say we have no plans for the foreseeable future to do anything. But yeah, it's not ruled out or anything. But yeah,
no. There's always possibilities, and you never know how you might feel one day. Like you might get an idea, but as Callum says, like we're definitely done at the moment with Doctor Who, and we want to just try other different things. But you know, we'd never rule anything out. We'd be silly
and see. We'll get bored. We'll come up with some ideas.
We'll get bored. Maybe one day.
Yeah, it'll happen.
That answer changed very quickly, didn't it? No. So there you go.
Yeah, I know from personal experience. When you say you're done with Doctor Who, you get this wee itch in the back of your head saying, "Oh, we did that," and then it's just like you can't get it out of your head. Then and it's like,
it's like let's do it now. I feel like that will happen. It's so early days, like for us in terms of finishing it with The Last Doctor. But obviously we feel like that now. But you never know how you're going to feel in a year or so.
Yeah, I'll get back to you in a year on. We'll pick things up in a year time and see how you are. It's like
just constantly like we need the Doctor Who. We need it back.
We need it again.
It's an obsession in the end.
I can quit whenever I want. It's just
we're all fans here, aren't we? It's okay to say that.
This is the thing. Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time we've got. Thank you both so much for appearing on the podcast, and anyone who hasn't heeded the spoiler warning and has gone to see it, go see The Siege of Time and The Last Doctor and check out DDK's channel. All great stuff. And yeah, any final words, gentlemen?
Thank you so much for having us. It's been a genuine pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel. It's been a pleasure to meet yourself and talk to yourself about this.
It's genuinely great to meet you guys as well. And anyway, back to Connor and myself with the rest of the podcast, which is yet to be recorded. So that was my chat with DDK. I highly recommend going checking out their latest fan films. They've just finished their Doctor Who fan film series, and it is very good. So I highly recommend it. So,
Indeed. They also said when I was editing it as well, they found like really lovely guys as well.
They are genuine. They are genuinely really nice guys, and I really hope to work. I hope we can work together in the future, because people have been asking for a DDK and DW 2012 crossover for some time. So maybe that's something to work out in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Wink, wink. Anyway, there's something as well you wanted to chat about in regards to the last ever episode of Resurrection. Obviously, the last episode of Resurrection didn't mean the last ever appearance of the Cravat Doctor.
Yes, I thought I'd just get this out of the way now, so that people who love the Cravat can rest assured and sleep easy. Cravat will this year be mostly in the form of audiobooks. We are currently working on getting a single audio drama sorted at the moment. it's going to be a very special one, something that literally came to mind, and very, very last minute. It's going to be released. It's going to be one of these things that's going to be released the moment it's finished, though. So, considering that we've already started working on it, looking at how things are, it may even be released before the audiobooks are actually out. But again, I'll see how it goes. We might wait a little bit, because having, technically Cravat has only been gone now for about a week and a half. I don't necessarily want to keep bringing him back and then him having larger breaks again. We know the audiobooks are going to be making an appearance in July. So maybe if it gets finished in good time, maybe aim for March release or something, just to bridge the gap.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
But we are doing a single audio sound, full cast audio drama. But there are going to be 6 audiobooks that are going to be released as part of the range that we're just calling Resurrection Remembrance. And essentially that's just going to be with companions from Series 2. We're going to be exclusively focusing on Series 2 themes in these 2 sets. I'm not going to call them volumes, I'm just going to call them sets of audiobooks. They range between 20 minutes to, the last one's actually almost an hour. But that is truly a beautiful, beautiful story that Eamon Longman wrote. And he finished that a little while ago. I got John to read it. I don't think me and John realised the magnitude of how much he had to read. It's the longest thing that John's ever had to read in for. You could hear him deteriorating as time went on, because usually you have breaks and everything when you do it, but he did it straight, and you could hear him starting to slur his words because he's just getting so tired. But it was genuinely, listening to it back and putting all little bits in, beautiful to listen to, and got me quite emotional at the end. It's a lovely story. But yeah, there are going to be some audiobooks. In terms of Cravat, we're going to be returning with volumes from now on, rather than doing stuff like we've done with Uncharted Past and Young Doctor, where they are volume Uncharted Past is the same title for many volumes. Cravat has now had 4 series, that's 50 episodes, more episodes than any Doctor in DW 2012, and I wasn't aiming to be the Tom Baker, or possibly even if you look at it, Paul McGann, or from Big Finish. Obviously the Big Finish episodes have heightened him massively with his era. I wasn't looking to be that, but there's so many more ideas that are just firing in my brain, and people aren't tired of him yet, so I'll carry on until people are tired of him. But there are going to be more singular volumes about things, so that rather than having 4 volumes building up one big massive 16-part story, they are going to be more singular, 3 to 4 episode volumes based on very specific stories.
Yeah.
So because I can't remember if I said this on the podcast, probably with Ollie when we were discussing Series 4 before it came out. That Series 4 was basically our take on doing something like Big Finish, which was doing 4 volumes, or 3 or 4 volumes of 4 episodes, because every 4 episodes in season 4 there'd be like a mini finale-esque sort of situation. Except the difference was this was back-to-back stories rather than per volume. And I liked doing that, but it killed me, as we all know. So I'm going to stick to doing one-off volumes. So I'll let you know now, we are doing a volume which is currently titled The Cravat Doctor and the Rani. At the end of Series 4, with High Society Part 2, we see the Cravat Doctor and the Rani travel off together to go and find her TARDIS. We're going to be doing a volume about them looking for it, and that's going to be the first volume that comes out not this year, but the following year. We're just taking a bit of a break this year. You'll still get Cravat Doctor content, but it just won't be to the same level as Series 4, as I've just taken a massive break, and in order to catch up with everything I've been doing, it just won't and can't make it into this year.
That's fine. I think after the amount of stories Cravat's had, especially this year, I think that's fine. To give him a bit of a rest, not say take the whole year off, but to just have more.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a full cast audio drama coming out, which wasn't the plan originally. It was just, again, like I say, when the trailer comes out, you will see why. But it's just something that I felt like I really want to do. I got really inspired suddenly, and I just wrote it. I've got to still do a couple more checks to it, but in essence, it's just something I feel like I need to do. Other than that, we've been sticking with the audiobooks, and it's been nice to sort of do them. It's been like a nice reintroduction to it all, going back to where it all started, etc. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll stop rambling.
For one of the volumes in 2022, I'm also writing for the Cravat Doctor for the first time.
Yeah, that's something I wasn't expecting you to mention, actually. And just when you asked to do it, I was quite surprised, because obviously I've written for Irish before, but it's been very specifically that I've written for Irish, but no other Doctor has ever written for me before, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I think I can safely do this tease. It's more of an adaptation as well.
Yeah, we won't say any more than that. But
yeah,
it's for something for the old fans, certainly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It's a classic, but not a classic.
Yeah.
It's. Oh. We'll see. I'm terrible at spoilers, so I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, first podcast of the year. This is our 10th episode as well. So 10 episodes into this podcast. We're 2 episodes away from a whole year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. By the time we record this, Young Doctor will be gone.
Oh dear.
And then we'll be talking very firmly about Volume 3 of Uncharted Past, which, of course, when we started the podcast 10 episodes ago, 10 months ago, we'd already written it all and we're nearly finished recording.
Yeah. It's weird like that, yeah.
It's like a weird full circle.
Indeed. Anyway. I hope we all had a good New Year and a very happy Christmas.
Yep.
And I will see you. We will both see you in the next episode.
And then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.